Do you sometimes ask yourself why everyone seems to ignore you? The truth is, most people unknowingly engage in habits that repel others and make them utterly ignored. But a rare few understand the art of commanding respect and magnetism. By the end of this, you'll learn the 12 poisonous habits that drain your value and how to replace them with virtues straight from the ancient Stoic philosophers. 1. Seeking validation externally. The greatest prison we live in is the thirst for approval from external sources. How many spend lives chasing likes, shares, and comments online like a dog begging for treats? How many shape their entire personalities based on seeking the approval of others rather than living for themselves? Confidence can never be found externally. It is an inside job. Those who strive endlessly for validation from the fickle masses come across as desperate and needy. They are easily ignored, for people are repelled by those without an inner core. The boss who constantly needs reassurance from subordinates is not seen as a leader. The friend who bases their self-worth on Instagram comments is not someone others respect deeply. The son who lives to please his parents rather than pursuing his own vision goes through life half asleep. Practice a form of self-validation, where your core sense of worth comes from your values and actions, not the opinions of audiences. When your well-being depends solely on virtue, courage, and reason within yourself, you carry an unshakable air that commands respect. 2. Excessive complaining. There's a difference between expressing struggles in a meaningful way and constantly dumping negativity onto those around you. People instinctively avoid those who constantly whine, moan, and complain about their unfortunate circumstances without actually taking steps to improve their situation. Negativity is a virus that brings down the vibe, saps motivation, and drains others' energy. It gets old very quickly. Complainers pigeonhole themselves as professional victims, perpetually stuck in poor me narratives. Nobody wants to hitch their cart to those who choose to remain in the addictive habit of holding pity parties for themselves. It repels quality people and positive minds. Stoic solution. The ancient Stoics were obsessed with focusing our mental energy only on what we can control, and letting go of frustrations over what we cannot. Build resilience and grit by transmuting frustrations into opportunity mindsets. When you speak about challenges, frame them as heroic obstacles to overcome rather than sources of interminable misery. 3. Lack of boundaries. Those who let others walk all over them get ignored and disrespected. When you lack firm boundaries about your time, energy, and sense of self-worth, you emit doormat signals that others can take advantage of you. You train those around you to see you as an easily neglected resource to use, rather than a sovereign entity requiring consideration. People who make themselves too available at all hours for any trivial need are taken for granted. Those who never say no to extra requests sacrifice their power to direct their own lives. Spineless people-pleasers are ignored by those whose opinions really matter. Stoic solution. Stoicism emphasizes rationality, self-discipline, and independence as core virtues. Set clear boundaries about your core values and priorities, and stand firm in protecting them. Politely reject disrespect of your boundaries. You'll gain more respect by saying no to things misaligned with your ethics than saying yes to everything. 4. Gossiping toxic negativity. Gossiping about others while offering no solutions or value reveals a misguided need to feel superior by trashing people behind their backs. This habit of sowing toxic negativity and drama alienates quality people from wanting to associate with you. Those who mock and tear down others incessantly get permanently ignored as their rotten dispositions are seen as cancerous influences to avoid. In contrast, those who speak ill of nobody while adding value to every interaction and looking for the good in situations cultivate an air of lighthouse wisdom. Their words improve spirits rather than dragging them down into gutter-level darkness. The Stoics viewed virtue as the highest ideal and vice as a sickness of the soul to extinguish. Focus on analyzing and improving your own character flaws rather than maligning others. When you speak, choose uplifting thoughts that provide insights and make situations better rather than complaints that just spread misery. 5. Reactive impulsiveness. Those who let their animalistic impulses drive them rather than logic and temperance come across as unstable people to be avoided rather than trusted. Reacting with hysteria and intense emotions to every perceived provocation shows incredibly poor self-regulation and discipline. It's a sign you might lash out at any moment and can't be counted on. Quality people seek the calm center of the storm, not the reactive winds of chaos. Modern society worships the fake values of venting anger and keeping it real through tantrums, but all it demonstrates is an inability to maintain poise and cultivate one's higher philosophical reasoning. Wild horses need tamed, not indulged and unleashed upon the world. The Stoics lived by the principle that the way to thrive is to act with rational calm rather than blinded by turbulent emotions. Before reacting, they would pause and contemplate through inner philosophy what matters most and what the wise response would be. Train out your knee-jerk animalistic tendencies by strengthening self-awareness. 6. Neediness. There is nothing quite as repellent as cloying, desperate, clingy neediness. It doesn't matter if it stems from insecurity, loneliness, or anxious attachment. People instinctively get turned off and ignore those who give off an air of unbounded vampiric need that can never be satiated. Independent, self-contained people are magnetic. Those who are emotional black holes only know how to take, are drained upon and avoided. When you have your life together and are already fulfilled from within, you attract benevolent life force from the universe. But when you resemble a sad stray dog begging for scraps, you subconsciously horrify those around you. Stoicism emphasizes the virtue of freedom from unhealthy external attachments and transcending neediness by finding sufficiency from within your character. Through their dichotomy of control mindset, the Stoics learned to not depend their well-being on anything outside their reasoned choice that could be lost or taken away. This inner sustaining abundance magnetizes good into your life. 7. Lack of purpose. Drifting aimlessly with no sense of purpose or vision is the calling card of one headed nowhere fast. People instinctively feel repelled by those with no direction beyond short-term impulsive pursuits of pleasure or avoidance of pain. They sense these people will provide no value and are on a treadmill of existential emptiness. No mission, no life force, fueling meaningful momentum. Aim at nothing and you'll hit it every time, becoming an invisible extra that any quality players in the game of life justifiably ignore and avoid attaching themselves to. Purpose powers the fire in one's soul that attracts the intense and driven. Reflect deeply to discern the principles and causes that light an intense fire in your belly. Then construct around them an empowering personal philosophy that imbues your ephemeral existence with profound meaning and direction. Let this hierarchical value system rooted in reason be the compass that guides every decision, turning you into a powerful force. 8. Inconsistency, flakiness. There are few greater insults than treating someone's time, emotions, and efforts as insignificant by displaying inconsistency. The habit of rashly committing to things and then bailing at the last second is the trademark of the fundamentally inconsiderate and self-absorbed. Quality people equate these flaky patterns with untrustworthiness and learn to simply ignore empty words from those sources. Making constant excuses, exceptions, and feeling exempt from keeping promises quickly brands you as a deceptive bullshitter who pays lip service to appearances but has no integrity of actually being true to their word. At best, you are seen as an irredeemable flake, at worst, an outright liar. Cultivate the supreme ethical virtue of keeping your actions tightly aligned to your reasoned principles and spoken words. Always follow through on your commitments, no matter how difficult the circumstances. When you match your behavior to your philosophy with consistency, you develop a powerful reputation of integrity that cannot be ignored. 9. Over-seriousness. Yes, lack of purpose and direction is a passion-extinguishing disease to cure. But so is being an excessive grump, utterly devoid of humor, playfulness, and ability to not take yourself too seriously. Those who move through life as perpetually enraged, funless robots, fixated on minor imperfections, get dismissed as joyless bores. Pleasure, laughter, and whimsy have their cultivating place. Nobody wants to be around the constant doomsayer, obsessing over negativity, or the rigid, self-righteous prig. lecturing everyone from their immovable high horse. A zest for the paradoxes and ironies that make the profound and silly intersect is what gives the wisest souls their infectious magnetic appeal. The Stoics were immensely logical and committed to restraining unhelpful passions, but they allowed for the regenerating power of positive emotions that recharge the soul's battery. Don't reject euphoric experiences and humor just for the sake of grim seriousness. Having perspective about life's contradictions is wisdom. 10. Personal stagnation. Perhaps the most unforgivable habit that causes all to ignore you is personal stagnation, living in a deathly inertia resistant to evolving. Those who arrogantly think they have it all figured out and have no need to continually reinvent themselves, upgrade their skills, and expand their horizons quickly grow irrelevant and useless. They become ignored relics of the past. The religion of complacency and stubbornly clinging to antiquated ways is a terminal illness rotting you from the inside while the world passes you by. No individual or organization can stand still. Adapting through creative destruction is the price of sustainability. The Stoics were passionate lifelong students and embraced the eternal cycle of acquiring knowledge, applying it, letting go of aspects that no longer served, then rebirthing themselves with expanded awareness. This permanent evolution is what keeps their teachings vibrant over millennia. Build habits for voracious learning and personal reinvention. 11. Needless self-deprivation. While the Stoics warned against indulging unhealthy excesses and vices, they didn't advocate tormenting yourself through joyless self-deprivation either. Meeting legitimate human needs with moderation and mindfulness is key to striking the wise middle path between indulgence and austerity. Those who martyr themselves in extreme, needless self-denial come across as bitter, anti-social killjoys, metaphorically inflicting their unhappiness onto others. Nobody wants to interact with a gloomy vampire draining fun and pleasure from the atmosphere. It gets exhausting. Take care of your physical, social, and pleasure needs through reason rather than impulsiveness. Enjoy life's simple joys like good food, intimacy, laughter, and nature's beauty. Just avoid addictive overconsumption that throws you off balance. Self-restraint isn't self-deprivation when done consciously. 12. Pretentiousness and posturing. Perhaps the most instantly off-putting and ignorable habit of all is pretentiousness, putting on airs of exaggerated intellectual, cultural, or personality affectations to broadcast a delusional sense of superiority over others. It's the anti-philosophy of pseudo-profound BS. Insecure people affecting a plastic persona through arrogant posturing rather than living with earnest authenticity makes them come across as trashy social climbers. They might as well be flatulent soundboards programmed to emit hollow bursts of noise mistaken for wisdom. Talk less, be more, is underrated advice. The heart of Stoicism rests in living with truth, integrity, and genuine virtue, rather than being blinded by superficial appearances, entitlement, and delusions of grandeur. Shed all masks of pretense to reveal your natural humility. Earn admiration slowly through your deeds and substantive character. The deepest longing of every human is to feel a profound sense of value, belonging, and being understood. Yet so many of us self-sabotage with habits driving others away. By aligning yourself with Stoic wisdom of cultivating virtues like self-discipline, resilience, and authentic confidence from within, you become powerfully magnetic rather than cringingly repellent. Your light shines too brilliantly to be ignored. 13. Insincere sweet talk. One of the most transparently disingenuous habits that subconsciously trains people to ignore you is the tendency to dole out endless, insincere flattery. Most can spot a mile away when someone is buttering them up with superficial compliments and platitudes that don't feel authentic or earned. It reeks of a hidden agenda, meant to manipulatively leverage them. Fake charmers and professional brown-nosers might be able to trick the unsuspecting for a little while. But those with deeper awareness quickly see through the love-bombing and transparent ingratiation techniques. They realize the flatterer's praise is just as ephemeral as their self-serving interests of the moment. No real substance or character behind it. A core Stoic principle was to esteem honesty as a sacred virtue. including honesty with oneself about one's motivations and character flaws. Rather than put on an act by regurgitating hollow flattery, speak truthfully about both the strengths and weaknesses you discern in a balanced way. Thoughtful discretion and tact can uphold respected honesty. To be ignored is one of the deepest signals that one is deemed unworthy of respect or meriting attention. It's a quiet form of rejection, eating away at the soul. Yet so many thoughtlessly engage in habits that make others subconsciously tune them out and turn their back. By studying Stoic philosophy and upgrading your daily habits around it, you exude the magnetic presence of one to be reckoned with rather than shunned. No more fading into the background of life. When you upgrade to aligning with virtue ethics, you command an audience simply by being. If you have made it this far, comment down below with the word 100% to confirm that you have received the knowledge from this video. For more interesting topics, make sure you watch the recommended video that you see on the screen right now. Thanks for watching.